Okay, so let's talk about visualization, because it's my absolute favourite way to manifest. It has worked so well for me that it really does blow my mind. So especially when it came to manifesting, creating my relationship, there were so many things that I saw in my mind, experienced in my body and in my mind before they actually happened. And then they happened, and when they happened, it was like, wow, I am powerful because I've lived this. I've seen it in my mind before, and now I'm actually experiencing it in real life. It's really crazy. There was also, I did a post the other day, there was someone who in a one-to-one session said to me that maybe visualizations are not necessarily things that we're trying to find in our mind, trying to create in our mind, but actually downloads being given to us as an idea of what's to come. So I thought that was really interesting, because who can say either way what's right or wrong? So it's up to you to decide what you believe about this. And I kind of believe that maybe it's a bit of both, you know. So for me, what I do when I'm visualizing is I give myself a really quiet space where I won't be interrupted. I lie down, I relax my body, and then I really just go into my mind and go to a place where I can see the thing happening that I want to happen. So I'll give you some examples of what actually manifested in my life. So one of them was I'd done this visualization and a meditation that took me to basically a field where I was in the middle of this massive green big field with my partner, who is now my partner. And we were standing there holding each other, hugging in the middle of this field. And I looked down in the visualization, I saw that he had brown boots on, and the sun was shining, and it was a really beautiful day. And I was just like, wow, this is such a nice experience that I was having in my mind. Okay, I don't know how long it was between when I visualized that and when it actually happened. In fact, actually, I'd visualized that quite a few times. It was something that I kept going back to for some reason. So I don't know how long it was, but there was a time where I was in the Cotswolds with my partner, and we decided to go for a walk. Okay, and if you know England and you know the Cotswolds, it's very countryside-y, and there was loads of fields. So just as we were leaving, I noticed that he had trainers on, and I was like, I thought we were going to go into the visualization, into the scene that I created in my mind, but we're not, because he's wearing trainers. And just as we opened the gate to leave, he said, oh, hang on a minute, I need to go and change my shoes. I need to go and put my boots on. And I was like, what? Okay, yeah, fine, go and do that. And he was leading the way. I wasn't directing any of this. He took me to this massive green field. We walked into the middle of it. The sun was shining. We were holding each other in the middle of the field. I looked down and I saw his brown boots. That was one thing that really blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, I literally have lived this in my head, and now it's happening. So that was one thing. Another thing was when I was in Italy, I went to this lookout where I was, I'd go there every single day. Every single day I went to this lookout point, which is actually where I recorded one of my first videos, which is How I Manifested My Specific Person video. That's what it's titled. And I went there, and I'd visualise him standing next to me. I would imagine when I had my eyes closed that actually, if I had opened my eyes at that point, that he was there, that he was actually there. So I made it feel like he was standing next to me, and that we were talking about, you know, our experience, our journey, and, you know, he was in Italy with me, and we were talking about just the love that we had for each other, basically, and how happy we were together and all of this. Long story short, we were in Italy, in that exact spot where I had been visualising and where I'd gone every day for months on end. And he was there. And I didn't have to close my eyes to imagine it, because he was actually there. So that was really crazy as well. The other thing that happened actually really recently, you might have seen on my community tab, or I can't remember if I've actually said this somewhere, was that I'd visualised years ago having had my baby and sitting in the living room of Johnny's parents' house, and his mum and me having this conversation where we were saying, where she was saying to me, I told you one day you'd have a baby, and here is the baby. And she would be holding the baby, or I'd be holding the baby, and it would be winter. For some reason it was winter. And anyway, exactly as I'd imagined it, that scene happened only a few weeks ago. And that was crazy. That was a big one, because I really didn't know if I was going to be able to have a baby. Oh, there was a lot of doubts. In fact, you know, throughout this process, there's always been doubts. There's always been doubts. You know, I haven't been able to sustain living in the end all the time. I just haven't been able to do it, because I'm human. I have normal feelings and thoughts and triggers, and there's been lots of ups and downs. But these things happened exactly as I had visualized them. And maybe in those moments, in those scenes that I was creating in my mind, or maybe being downloaded or whatever, I was in those moments living in the end very strongly at that time. So that's interesting. I've always found this really, really interesting. The really important thing about this is that you don't go away and go, oh my God, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to visualize everything, and then I'm going to get the relationship I want. Because the most important thing is that you feel connected and good about yourself. The reason why that's so important is because these visualizations can happen, and you know, that can be what you live in and what you experience, but you will not enjoy it if you don't feel and have experienced that love and connection for yourself. Okay, so if you don't know how to love yourself, it's very difficult for you to be able to accept love from another. Okay, because you don't know how to do that for yourself. So how could you know how to receive it from someone else? You have to learn to experience that first. So you don't want to be disappointed by, you know, creating the experience and getting what you wished for, yeah, and then not actually being able to enjoy it. So that's why when you do these scenes, when you do these visualizations, it is so important to really go into how you feel in your body. Really notice how it actually feels. Really notice what it feels like to feel happy, to feel connected, to feel confident about yourself. Okay, so that you're giving yourself and your mind the direction of where to go, even if you don't all the time feel like that right now. Okay, so that's so important. I think the visualization that really blows my mind the most, and the whole experience that I created through imagining it and being in it in my mind so vividly before it actually happened, was the whole experience of actually being in Italy with my specific person. Because when we'd been separated, he'd been really at the other side of the world, and I had literally been visualizing and imagining him being in my apartment with me and living there with me, and us being together. And I'd imagine things like me saying, do you want a cup of coffee, or do you want a tea, or something like that, and he'd go, yes please. And I'd do these things while, you know, I was in the shower, and I could imagine him literally being in the other room, and us talking to each other from the other side of the apartment and stuff, and then me going in and giving him a cup of tea or a coffee or whatever, and all of these things that I'd basically played out and experienced while I was there without him. And you know, when I was in Italy, it felt like those things were not really going to happen, because especially when I decided to leave Italy and they hadn't happened, it felt like, well, that's really not going to happen, is it? You know, because I'm leaving and I've handed in the keys to my apartment. He's definitely not going to be in this apartment with me. That's game over, not going to happen. But the universe is absolutely insane. Must have heard me, must have been working with me, playing with me, because you know, a few months later, not really very long, we got together again, long story short again, and we were in Dubai, and we had to leave Dubai, and the best flight that we could get was via Rome, which meant that we said, well, we might as well stay in Italy for a bit. So I just happened to ring the old landlord that I'd had before and say, do you happen to have any, you know, can I come back for a month? Is there anyone in the apartment? She said, oh, the person who is living here is actually away for that month in September, when it was, and you can use the apartment then. So, you know, we ended up going back there and literally being in the apartment. And I remember saying to him from the bathroom one day, do you want a coffee? And then hearing him literally in the other room going, all right. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm literally exactly to a T, no pun intended, living out the visualization that I had lived in my mind before, and I burst into tears. And he was like, what's wrong? And I was just like, I can't tell you how much I wanted you to be here, and I can't tell you how much I missed you. And I, saw this and wanted to experience it, and now it is. And I was just like really emotional because I was living it out. That was amazing. That was crazy. There's so many things like that. This video would be about 3 hours long if I actually did a video of all of the things that I've visualised and that have been created. I mean, not just in relationships, but other things too, like, university and work, money, family things, other things, holidays, all sorts of things that I visualised. So in a way, this video, although it's very exciting and very compelling, and it's amazing that we can visualise things and then experience them. And there's something magic about that is so cool. It's so cool that we can do that. But the thing is that I'm someone who really wants to teach you healthy manifestation, okay? And I really don't want this technique in itself to distract you from doing the work on self-love and really connecting back to your needs, your feelings, and knowing that those things are very important in relationships, so that you can actually really empower yourself to show up as someone who knows that those things are very important and that you expect those things in relationships, okay? So we have to embody someone who knows that. So if you'd like to learn more about embodiment and how to embody and be the love that you're seeking, which is really what we need to do in order to love these experiences that we're creating in our mind, we have to be able to experience that connection with ourselves first. So if you'd like to learn more about that, I have a 2-week program which is starting on Wednesday called Love Embodied. And in this program, we're going to be learning how to connect to yourself. And the reason why we feel disconnected from ourselves is because we're actually acting out of fear of not getting the relationship, out of fear of not being accepted, out of fear of rejection, and all of these things. Maybe we're manifesting from that place, which means that we're not embodying love, we're embodying fear. So we have to learn to embody love and be that love and be at peace with ourselves. And then we can experience these amazing visualizations that we're creating. So it starts on Wednesday, it's £65, and it's 2 weeks of me sending you these daily challenges to help you get the practice of embodying and reconnecting back to yourself. And then there's a 2-hour workshop where we'll dive deeper into this, and you can ask me any questions about manifesting a specific person, embodying love, and anything else you want to ask me. So if you'd like some more information about that, the link's below. You can email me, direct message me, and I'd love to see you there. So I hope you found this video useful, inspiring, interesting, or that it's given you some light bulb moments. If you'd like some more information about the Love Embodied program or the Conscious Creators Masters Academy, we're starting again in March for that. So I'd love to hear from you, love to see you at one of my events, and I'll see you in the next video.